Bonjour tout le monde, welcome back to We in France. I'm Diane and I have a question for you. Are Americans weird? Are we? Maybe we are, maybe we aren't, I don't know. But I can think of countless times that I've been going about my business here in France, doing what I feel are normal American things, and a French person will be totally weirded out by something that I'm doing. And truth be told, in all honesty, that person is usually my French husband, Tom, but I want to talk about this. So what do French people find a little bit odd about American culture? Well, over the years, I've come up with a bunch of examples, so I want to just jump right in. Okay, number one, we don't use the metric system. Now, before moving to France, the system that we've used in the US for hundreds of years, the imperial system, made so much sense to me since that's just what I knew. It's what I was familiar with growing up. And I knew exactly how many feet were in a mile, how many pounds there were in a ton, gallons and cups and yards. They were my friends. That was what I knew, right? But then I got up close and personal with the metric system here in Europe. And know what? It just makes more sense. They're even numbers. Look, 100 centimeters in a meter? Logical. 1,000 meters in a kilometer? Totally normal. It just makes sense, right? So it's no wonder our US system is baffling to foreigners. And it took moving to France for me to realize that maybe there's a more simple way. And if you're wondering why the US doesn't switch over to the metric system like the vast majority of the world, the main reason is because of the time and the money it would take. According to Britannica.com, they explain that in the Industrial Revolution, expensive manufacturing plants where Americans had jobs and also where consumer products came from was the main reason. Because it's that the imperial system was what we all used then when all that equipment in the factories was being constructed and developed. It was an imperial unit of measurement. So whenever the US Congress discussed switching over to the metric system, it was vetoed by Americans and by big business who frankly didn't want to spend the time or the money and just the hassle of redoing an entire infrastructure. So yeah, that's the short answer. So for me, on a personal note, I'm going to give my opinion. The winner for me is France. In this case, the metric system wins because it's easy, it's simple, it's easy to use and understand, and the majority of the world uses it. So yeah, France wins on that one. All right, number two, Americans drive big cars and even pickup trucks. And listen, I'm a big fan of the giant GMC Suburban or the Cadillac Escalade as much as the next guy, but unless you regularly cart around a family of like 8 or 10 people or loads of equipment, why do we really need such a big car? I don't know, do we? I don't. Or do you need a pickup truck if you don't haul equipment regularly? I don't know, people like it for the look. Now, overall in France and Europe in general, people's personal vehicles are smaller than they are in the US. Now, does that mean you'll never see a big SUV or that no one drives a big sedan? No, of course not. You'll see that. But overall, Europeans, of course, including the French, do not drive huge cars. So why is this? Keep in mind that gas in America is cheaper than it is in France, sometimes substantially so. So currently right now, diesel fuel in my area is €1.55 per liter. And if you convert that to gallons with today's exchange rate, that's $6.65. Also, roads are bigger in the US. Parking spaces are bigger in the US. People tend to be bigger in the US, but to each his or her own. Choice is a beautiful thing. And again, sharing my personal opinion, the winner is France. For me, smaller cars make more sense personally. They're easier for so many reasons. Cost being a big one, the cost of gas, parking, especially in narrow Parisian parking garages, just everything. And I don't have kids, I don't haul construction equipment. So for me personally, smaller cars, they just make more sense. Number three, tipping culture. Now, tipping is something that Americans are used to. It's ingrained in our culture. We grew up with it. We know that at restaurants, tacking on 20% to that bill is the norm. We expect it. And we also tip at the hair salon, the nail salon, pretty much across the service industry. But in France, tipping culture is scaled back, right? You don't leave a 20% tip at the hair salon, or definitely not 20% at restaurants. Although I will say a smaller tip for good service, maybe 10% at a super high-end restaurant, a Michelin star place, that is always appreciated. No one's gonna deny you from leaving a tip, but you can certainly round a restaurant bill from 47 to 50, round it up. You'll see that, that's appreciated. And also on a note about money, the concept of state sales tax can be a bit confusing for foreigners. And when I've spoken to French people who have visited the US on vacation, the topic of sales tax and local tax in different states always comes up because it's something that's very different than it is in France. So just for example, the sticker price at the grocery store or, that item of clothing at the mall, it's not always what you pay at the register. So for example, in New York City, sales tax and local tax on things like furniture and hotel stays and restaurants and electronics, I believe is 8.875% extra on top of whatever sticker price you see. You do pay tax on clothes in New York City, over $110, and then just over the Hudson River in New Jersey, where I grew up, state and local sales tax, I believe, is 6.625% today. And there's no state sales tax on clothes. And just to confuse everything a little more, there are exceptions. Like if you buy fur clothing, and then 5 states don't have any sales tax. Alaska, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, and Oregon, I believe, do not have any state sales tax. So if you're not confused enough, let's just skip over to France. To contrast that, in France and many countries in Europe, the total price, including that value-added tax, is the price you see on the restaurant menu. So if that hamburger is 20 euros and that's all you get, you will leave 20 euros to the restaurant on your bill, right? Clothes tag you see at the mall. If the shirt's 20 bucks, again, 20 euros, right? So it's just a more simple system in France to kind of know from the tag or the sticker price what you're going to pay at the register. And again, winner, no surprise, there's a pattern here. France, simple is better, in my personal opinion. You don't need to do like mental mathematics to calculate what the sales tax is going to be when you go out to eat. Let's move on. Number 4, we like pumpkin in our desserts. And amen to that. I'm a huge pumpkin lover. Hands down, it is my favorite flavor ever. Now, I'm not talking about the big jack-o'-lantern raw chunks of pumpkin that you pick in the pumpkin patch and eat them. I don't like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about, canned pumpkin or squash or just that pumpkin spice flavor. You mix it with a smoothie, some cinnamon, you make it into a pumpkin pie, my favorite, and it's heaven, right? I think French people, they don't know what they're missing out on with all that pumpkin-y goodness, like Americans, we love our pumpkin pie and dessert. But really, French people, on the other hand, they think of pumpkin as a vegetable, period. So pumpkin soup, a savory dish. And I found this out when my in-laws first looked kind of perplexed, one of the many times, when I served up a pumpkin pie for my first Thanksgiving in France. Pumpkin pie, pumpkin muffins, that's not a common flavor in France at all. Like I said, pumpkin is thought of kind of as a vegetable and savory. So a French person might be intrigued, or they might do a double take. If you say, yeah, this is pumpkin pie, and they'll be like, wait, pumpkin pie? And then they taste it. They're like, ah, cool. For me, I'm breaking the trend here. The winner for me is the US. As I said, I love pumpkin. Number 5, we love breakfast food. Breakfast is a big deal, especially savory options. So Americans on the whole, we eat things like eggs, sausage, bacon. They're common breakfast foods. Maybe not every day, but it's normal. And of course we eat sweet things like donuts and pancakes and French toast, but it's totally normal to eat eggs for breakfast with a little bit of sausage for your meat. Now, would a French person sit down to a plate of scrambled egg whites or turkey bacon? Probably not, definitely not everywhere. Breakfast in France is sweet, right? It's a sweet thing. And I did an entire video on breakfast norms in France, so you can watch that. French aren't really into savory breakfasts. Now, the winner, for me personally, a US, a traditional American breakfast, of course, with pancakes, eggs, waffles, sausage, bring it on. I love that stuff. It's what I grew up with. It makes it feel like home for me. And it's my favorite meal of the day. Okay, number 6, walking around with bare feet or sock-covered feet at home. Now, Americans know what slippers are, of course, and many of you probably wear slippers, but I feel like it's not to the same extent as French people. Many Americans don't wear slippers all the time at home, and in the winter, heavy socks or something like that might work really well, and maybe it's just my husband's family. You have to tell me, French people down below. Americans too, if you wear slippers, but for my husband, if feet don't have slippers on them, even in the summer, people assume you're cold or just weird, if you're walking around in bare feet or just socks. Slippers personally aren't my thing, but in this area, I've definitely adapted over the years, and I do wear slippers in winter a bit more now. But in the summer, natural for me is barefoot. But yeah, let me know below if your family is big into slippers, no matter where you're from, if it's just in the cooler winter months, or if you walk around with bare feet in the summer and that sort of thing. All right, my personal opinion, the winner here, it's neutral. Like I said, I like slippers in the winter, but I'm totally fine with bare feet in the warmer months. Okay, number 7, Americans like coffee on the go. And of course, we like like meeting friends at coffee shops and cozying up in those oversized Starbucks chairs, and paying €5, $5 for our concoctions, catching up. We love that, but we like taking things on the go, drive-through coffee for a road trip, on the way to work. We have no problem carrying it into meetings or appointments or on the street. It's an accessory, it's convenient, it's normal, but not for the French. In France, the notion of walking somewhere with your coffee to go is not really part of French culture outside of major cities. The concept doesn't exist in the same way, although it's changing. I will say that. Cafe culture is where it's at in France, and you'll much more commonly see people sipping a little espresso out on a terrace with the morning paper, or people watching. Coffee, even at work, it's a time to relax and take time away. It's not something to just sit on your desk and multitask. So for me, the US wins here. I like my to-go coffee. It started as something I grabbed, kind of a habit, on the way to work in New York City from the little coffee cart. And then it would sit next to my computer all morning, and I'd multitask and kind of nurse my cup of coffee there. So coffee for me, it's an accessory to whatever I'm doing. It's usually not the main event. Although, I like going to cafes too. Overall, the US style of coffee to go, that's where my preference is. Okay, number 8, the toilet. All right, anyone who's had the pleasure of using toilets in both countries will tell you that American plumbing seems to be a little more sensitive. So loading up a toilet with toilet paper, I'm trying not to laugh here, is a major no-no, and it will definitely result in a clog in homes in the US and or water on the floor. And the toilet bowls in the US, I feel like they're always full of water, and the flush seems to be weak in comparison to French toilets. So older toilets don't always have 2 flush buttons like what you commonly find in France these days, for, just if you do a small load or a bigger load, Americans, we know to use a small amount of toilet paper and how to use a plunger. But, and this is why I was trying not to laugh, an unsuspecting French person who might or might not live with me, if they're kind of perched atop their porcelain throne in an American home for the first time, not speaking from experience, and using it like a hardy French toilet, they might get a major surprise if they aren't careful. Yeah, truth be told, Tom, we laugh about it now. But yeah, he overflowed my aunt and uncle's gorgeous guest bathroom after loading it up with a bit too much toilet paper and flushing a few times. Hey, they had delicate plumbing, right? And I'm sure there are hardy toilets in the US, but overall, Tom definitely learned his lesson that day, and it did end well. We still have laughs about it, but we use the opportunity to kind of talk about how French and American plumbing systems are a bit different. I don't know, you have to let me know about that one. And in addition, just sticking with public toilets, in the US, you'll commonly see spaces in between the doors and the stalls in public toilets in the US, and also below, when you're seated on the toilet, you see people's feet. You can see that someone's in there using the stall. And I find generally in France and other areas of Europe, the door goes all the way down to the floor. So you can't kind of bend down and see what someone's shoes are like in there, right? You don't know who's going to the bathroom or anything like that. And I feel like Europe toilets, they kind of make going to the bathroom a little more private, which is good, right? You don't want to be peeking in and seeing who's in there doing what. The winner here, hands down, France. Toilets more powerful. I think we plunged our French toilet maybe twice in 10 years, whereas in the US, it was something we do every couple of months. French toilets for the win. All right, number 9, pharmacies are where you can buy way more than just medicine. Let's start with France. In France, pharmacies are places where you go to get prescriptions filled, you get over-the-counter medications, you could get other medical supplies and items, braces for a sprained wrist, that sort of thing, and sometimes parapharmacy products. The bigger ones have skincare, toothpaste, makeup, and that sort of thing. But you won't find greeting cards, soda, gum, candy, toys for your kids, and cigarettes. You're not going to find that. But in the US, places like CVS, Walgreens, Wayne Reed, they're casually called drugstores or pharmacies. And although they have a pharmacy department, the stores sell a lot more than just medication. So that can surprise French people, right? It always surprised my French husband when he'd visit the US, when I'd say, I'm just gonna run to the pharmacy real quick. Yeah, it's 10 p.m., they're still open. Let me just grab a few snacks or whatever, what have you, right? And in France, if you want food, you'd hit up a grocery store. And if you want cigarettes, you go to the tabac. You're not gonna find cigarettes at the grocery store or the pharmacy. Kind of weird that we can in the US. For more on French pharmacies, I'd love if you checked out this video I did. It's my absolute favorite video I made in 2021. Has behind the scenes info about how French pharmacies work, and I hope you'll check it out. And for me, the winner here, I think US and French pharmacies, they each have their place. I love how hands-on French pharmacies are. I love the role they play in French culture. And I love the convenience aspect of US pharmacies. So they both have their pros and cons. But if we're just talking about pharmacies alone, that medicine aspect, I'd have to pick France. All right, lastly, as I always say, keep in mind, these videos, they're not a judgment about what country does things better or worse overall. France and the US are different countries, so of course they do things differently. And you could definitely share your opinion on what works better for you, what you like better personally. But above all, if we're a guest in a foreign country, the onus is on us to adapt. So that's what I try to do the best I can. But of course we have opinions, right? And it's all in good fun. So I'd love to hear from you below in the comments because there are way more than 9 things we could talk about. And if you want, I'll do a part 2. But everyone, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you. I have a surprise giveaway just to say Happy New Year. Thank you for being here. I recently hit 70,000 subs, all thanks to you. I don't have the prizes on hand, so I'm just gonna put up some B-roll clips of what they are, but I have 3 prizes that I'm gonna give to 3 different people worldwide here in the We in France community, and I'll explain what they are. So I have 2 gift sets of Huile Prodigieuse. It's a Nuxe product, one of my favorite. It's a little sampler, and also a men's product from Vichy. It's just a little travel case. There's a deodorant, I think a shower gel, and contrary to popular belief and the comments I see on my channel, yes, the French do wear deodorant. So again, it's 3 total prizes. One is a men's toiletry case with a few things inside, and then I have 2 Nuxe Huile Prodigieuse. So to enter the giveaway, listen up, all you have to do is enter by first making sure you're subscribed to my channel. If you already are, you're golden, but if you aren't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can enter my giveaway. Also, hit the like button on this video and make sure your bell notification is turned on so you don't miss any of my videos. And then the final thing, all you have to do is leave a comment below and, say whatever you want to say, but be sure to tell me if you'd rather win the Nuxe oil sampler, which is great. There's a sparkly one, a dry oil, or if you'd like the men's prize, the little toiletry pack from Vichy. And this is open to my subs worldwide. It is not sponsored. I bought the prizes with my own funds. I'm mailing them on my own dime, and it's not affiliated with YouTube in any way. So I'm picking the 3 winners about a week from now. When I edit, I'll make sure to put the date that the giveaway ends right here. And on that day, be sure to check your comment and the pinned comment I put, just so you know if you won or not. You'll know that you won because I'll reply to your comment. But please check. I did a giveaway recently on Facebook, and one of the winners never saw that she won, despite me trying to contact her a multitude of ways. So check back to see if you won. Again, 3 winners. Giveaway ends here, open worldwide. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Check out all my links below. Subscribe to the We in France newsletter to stay up to date with everything happening here and over on the blog. And as always, thank you. Happy New Year, bonne année, and salut!